Firstly, people need to realize what the agenda is. In 1990, the United Nations released something called Agenda 21, which was their agenda for what they wanted to have achieved worldwide by the year 2021. They've now, because we're past that, they've now released Agenda 2030, which is what the United Nations would like to have achieved by the year 2030. And one of the common factors in both of those agendas is the fact that they would like to see the world's population reduced to 500 million. Now, people have to realize that the World Health Organization is a branch of the United Nations. Just like the College of Physicians and Surgeons is a branch of public health. So the fact that I had wondered, how were they going to reduce the world's population from 8 billion to 500 million? That means you've got to get rid of 15 out of 16 people. Now, they didn't succeed by 2021, which was the second year of the pandemic, but they're aiming now for 2030, which is 5 years away. One of the strongest predictors of future behavior is past behavior. If you want to try and predict how somebody is going to behave in the future, just look at what they did in the past. It's very reliable, unless there's some reason to believe that that person has been dramatically transformed, that we tend to do the same things again. So the World Health Organization has used vaccines 5 times before this pandemic to reduce fertility. And they did it in Brazil and Mexico and India and Kenya and one other country that I now can't think of. They did it in 5 countries. And in every case, they gave these people vaccines for some other reason to keep them safe. In Kenya, it was a tetanus vaccine, different vaccines in different places. And this was an injection to keep these people safe or their children safe, but was actually designed to reduce fertility. And I think these COVID vaccines are no different. The fact that they mandated these shots for university students, for school kids couldn't play sport. They couldn't go on school field trips. University students who had been, for example, studying medicine, you're 4 years in and you're told, unless you get these COVID shots, you're done. You forget it. Go and deliver pizzas. You will not be a doctor. And, and in other words, they forced young people for whom COVID was almost no risk to have a shot that had the worst safety record in human history. So you can think, well, so did they just make a mistake? Because there seems to be no benign explanation for that. We know that the shots didn't keep anyone safe because it didn't stop people getting COVID. So this idea that, well, you're putting other people at risk if you're unvaccinated was nonsense, because they knew by the time they mandated any of these things that these shots didn't stop transmission or infection. So they couldn't possibly keep anyone safe. So that reason was clearly fraudulent. So there was no other benign explanation for why these should be mandated for young people other than the fact that we knew from the Pfizer biodistribution study using the messenger RNA particles where they tested it on mice, they found that the ovaries were in the top 4 destinations for those spike proteins. And when a baby girl is born, she is born with all of the eggs in her ovaries that she will ever have. Guys make sperms every day from puberty till they die. But girls are born with eggs in their ovaries that are created when they're in their mother's womb. And from the time they're born, they cannot get new eggs. So if you can design something that goes into their ovaries that causes microclotting and gene editing and clots and bleeding and whatever else, inflammation, if you can design something that will harm that person's ovaries, it is pretty well guaranteed to impair their fertility. which explains why they wanted all the young people to get these shots that they didn't need, and the shots didn't work. And it's the only explanation is to try and reduce the population.